Daily Ascent. I'm Molly Carmel, and this is the podcast I always wish existed. A bite-sized, on-the-ground spiritual note that can shift your thinking and your outlook on life to help make us all a little bit more awake, alive, and ascending. So I want to talk about today the things that we are absolutely certain we cannot live without, like the things that feel a whole lot less like they are belongings and more like they're body parts. And what happens on that rare occasion that life pries one of them out of our hands. So I hope you know that I'm talking about my phone. But if you don't, spoiler alert. So I was meeting a friend of mine for brunch a few weekends ago, and I was running late. I was like a whirling dervish running late, like real late. I hate being late also. And so all of those things put together, I was cutting it dangerously close, and I flew out the door. I got in the car, and I was probably like, I don't know, 6 minutes down the road, and I knew it. I knew what happened. I felt it, that cold drop in my stomach. I left my phone at home. And I want to be clear, this is a podcast of rigorous honesty. It was not a normal feeling. It was not a oops, I did it again. Like, oh, shoot, I forgot my phone. Yikes. It was like, I imagine it's like if you felt like you left an organ on the kitchen counter or a limb, like literally something I needed to live. My entire body went into a low panic, but honestly, like, I don't know, I really honor being known for being on time, and I was so late and there just wasn't time. There just wasn't time to turn around. So I could either go back and be super, super, really rude late, and my truth being like, oops, I had to go get this thing that I'm addicted to, or go to brunch as a person with no phone, analog, as they say. And I thought back to the 90s, to high school. I'm old enough to remember the 90s, and we just left the house and we were gone, and nobody knew where we were. No pictures, no Instagram, no nothing. Nobody could reach you. You'd make a plan, you'd show up. That was the whole technology. It was amazing. And I thought, you know what? Let me do a little throwback Saturday. I'm going to be brave, and I'm going to go be a person in a restaurant for 2 or maybe 3 hours. I'm going to be like a pioneer with no phone. It's going to be very exciting. And the craziest thing was like that first hour, I really wasn't okay. Like I was having mini convulsions. Like I kept on wanting to check my phone. Like I literally was like, oh, wait, let me look that up. Or like, oh, wait, I need to text that. It was really, and I would look in my bag and I'd look on the table and it wasn't there. And I just felt this little jolt. Like, what if someone needs me? What if something's happening? What if I'm missing something? I was a little twitchy. And I really like wasn't as present at the brunch as I wish I was because I was grieving a device that was sitting safely on my kitchen counter. But here's the shift. Somewhere in the second hour, the twitching stopped. And honestly, I kind of hate that this is true, but in its place was the strangest, lightest feeling. Like I was just there. I was available. I was fully present with my friend. I was uninterruptible. There was no glance down or, oh, wait, I need to, no little tug pulling me halfway out of a conversation. I just felt really, really free. And honestly, okay, like here is the part of the story that I really can't stop thinking about. Now, of course, I'm thinking about, wow, you really have a phone addiction. But here's the best part. When I got home, I was braced for the avalanche of my phone. All the missed calls, all the texts, you know what I'm saying. And here's what happened. Nothing happened. There was not a text or an email to be found. So the thing that I was so sure that I could not survive 3 hours with, or anybody could survive without me for 3 hours, had absolutely nothing to say back to me when I came home. There we have it. And so that brings me to our pocket sage today. And today's reading is from a little book that I love. It's called The Art of Stillness, Adventures in Going Nowhere by Pico Iyer. And Pico's like a travel writer, and he just spent his life crossing the globe. And um, this is the passage. Not many years ago, it was access to information and movement that seemed our greatest luxury. Nowadays, it's often freedom from information, the chance to sit still, that feels like the ultimate prize. In an age of speed, nothing could be more invigorating than going slow. In an age of distraction, nothing can feel more luxurious than paying attention. And in an age of constant movement, nothing is more urgent than sitting still. Let me read that again for those of you in the back. Not many years ago, it was access to information and movement that seemed our greatest luxury. Nowadays, it's often freedom from information, the chance to sit still, that feels like the ultimate prize. In an age of speed, nothing could be more invigorating than going slow. In an age of distraction, nothing can feel more luxurious than paying attention. And in an age of constant movement, nothing is more urgent than sitting still. Oh my God. Freedom from information as the ultimate prize. I mean, that's literally my brunch, right? And I didn't even have a word for it. So I'm gonna hold on to that. I'm gonna take it somewhere. I'll probably do like 5 podcasts on it. So stay tuned. And so our word of the day today is untethered. You know, a lot of times in spirituality, even like we talk about being tethered as being grounded, right? But there's a part of untethered that's really important too, because to tether, it's a rope, right? It's the thing that keeps an animal from wandering too far, fixed to a stake in the ground. And there is great comfort in a tether because it means you always know where you are. You're grounded, you can't get lost. But it also means you can only go ever as far as the rope lets you. And so I mean, if we're being honest, most of us are tethered to something for sure. And for many of us, it's a small, glowing rectangle, right? And the tether is so familiar that we've even stopped feeling it as a rope at all. It just feels like a limb, like a part of us. And so we don't experience it as a limitation. We experience it as safety and connection and being responsible and being reachable and being on top of things. I mean, I certainly do. So, untethered is the word for the moment the rope comes off. Not because you cut it in some dramatic act of rebellion, but like sometimes you just left it on the kitchen counter by accident. And in that moment, you discover something the rope was hiding from you the whole time. You can go further than you thought. Like freedom exists because you're never going to actually wander off and get lost. You were just never allowed to find out how much room you had from that little rectangle. So carry this one today, untethered. Untethered, the lightness of discovering you can put down the thing that you were sure you had to hold. And so here's what we're going to think about today. There is a difference between something you truly need and something you've simply never gone a day without, right? And we are not so good at telling those things apart because the mind is such a master at turning a habit into a necessity. And it happens so gradually that we don't even catch it. It's just without our permission. Something enters our life as a convenience, a nice to have, a small pleasure. And then before we know it, we're leaning on it a little, and then we're leaning on it a lot. And at some point, without any announcement, it crosses a line in our heads from something we enjoy to something we cannot function without. And let me tell you, friends, that sounds a whole lot like addiction. And here's the trick of it. We don't usually go back and check whether that's true. The belief just hardens. Like, yeah, I just can't live without this. Oh my God, of course I can't leave the house without my phone. What if some emergency happens? What if someone can't reach me, right? And it feels like evidence, even though we've never once tested it. What I felt in that second hour at brunch was not just relief, it was information. Like my body was telling me the truth that my mind had been lying to me about for lots and lots of years. I actually don't need my phone, not in any real way. Like the dependency was enormous and the actual need was almost nothing. And the gap between those two things is where so much of my anxiety had been quietly living. And I think this goes well beyond phones, right? Think about what we must tell ourselves that we cannot get through the day without. I mean, I'll tell you, coffee for sure, but also like the constant noise, the need to know everyone's doing, the thing you reach for the second you feel a moment of discomfort or boredom or quiet. Like we've just built our lives around 100 little tethers and we call each one a necessity. And we've never let the rope go slack long enough to find out if that's actually true. And I think what's underneath all of it, like the reason we don't test the dependency, is we might be afraid of what we'll find. Like we're afraid the need is real and we'll feel the lack. But far more often, the opposite happens. That's what I found out. And by the way, I've put down a lot of things I think are necessities. And in my experience, we put the thing down, we have to white knuckle it through one uncomfortable hour, maybe 24, maybe 72 if we're talking about addiction. And then we come home to find that nothing happened. Nothing was waiting. The emergency we braced for never existed. And on the other side of that discovery is a version of us that's lighter and freer and much more present than the one who couldn't put it down. So, my reflective question for you today: what are you certain you can't live without that you've actually never tried living without? Mm-hmm. So listen, I am right here with you, Ascenders, trying to set down the things that we are so sure we have to hold on to and finding out how much room we actually have. And listen, if this one's making you look at your phone a little differently, you want to share the love with all around you, I'm so into it. We want to grow this Ascender crew. And here's one more thing, Ascenders. In these show notes, there is an email address, and I would just love to hear from you. Like, I want to make this whole thing a community. I want to know what you like. I want to know what you don't like. I want to know what you're thinking. I want to know what you're feeling, the whole deal. I want to know the Ascenders. So, like, reach out to me because we rise together. Until next time.